Welcome to our National Program Redux. We're once again offering this fabulous three-country Middle East tour in honor of our founder and my father, Ady Gelber, who pioneered this trip to Israel, Egypt, and Jordan more than half a century ago. Our 18-day itinerary is a magnificent trip of a lifetime, beginning in the picturesque port of Jaffa, full of important biblical events. A stop in the charming Neve Zedek neighborhood to relax before a packed tour of Tel Aviv, including the iconic Rothschild Boulevard, Founders Square Memorial, Independence Hall, and bustling Carmel Market. On day 3, driving along the coastline heading north, first stop is Caesarea, built by King Herod, to see excavations of the ancient Roman city, the Roman theater, hippodrome, aqueduct, King Herod's palace, the Byzantine church, and other remains from the centuries when Caesarea was an important Roman city. Afterwards, view the port of Haifa and the Baha'i shrine and its hanging gardens from the top of Carmel Mountain. Continue to Nazareth, childhood town of Jesus, the largest Arab city in Israel, and an important site for pilgrims and tourists who come to visit the Basilica of the Annunciation. Nazareth is a vibrant mini metropolis with shop-lined thoroughfares, stone-paved alleys lined with Ottoman-era mansions, and in recent years, reinvented as a sophisticated cultural and culinary destination. Day 4 begins with a visit to Magdala, an ancient Jewish city on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, believed to be the birthplace of Mary Magdalene. On to Genesar to see the magnificent display of the wooden Galilee boat dating from the time of Jesus. From the Genesar, a boat ride across to the Sea of Galilee lands near Capernaum, often called the hometown of Jesus. Here the tour follows in the footsteps of Jesus' ministry in the villages around the Sea of Galilee, culminating with a visit to the Mount of Beatitudes, the traditional site of the Sermon on the Mount, with stunning surroundings and unchanged views through the centuries. Day 5 and 6 are reserved for exploring the ancient city of Safed, home to Jewish mysticism or Kabbalah, now an artist colony. A tour of the old city reveals ancient synagogues in the area like Rabbi Joseph Caro Synagogue. On to Caesarea Philippi to enjoy nature on the banks of one of Jordan's main tributaries. A wine tasting at a local winery is next. The following day begins with the possibility to get baptized at Yardenit, the baptismal site located at the Jordan River on the southern tip of the Sea of Galilee. Next stop along the Jordan Valley is the ancient Roman city of Bethlehem from the time of King Saul. The next couple of days are devoted to Jerusalem. A journey through the Holy City begins with a splendid view of the Old City and New Jerusalem from the top of Mount of Olives. At the base of the mountain is the Gardens of Gethsemane, where Jesus spent time with his disciples before his arrest. The many sites at Mount Zion include King David's tomb and the Room of the Last Supper. Walking the Cardo, the main street from Byzantine times, leads to the restored Jewish quarter. The famous Western Wall is the last remnant of the Temple Mount destroyed by the Romans 2,000 years ago. A walk along the last stations of the Via Dolorosa through the bazaar will end at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The 8th day begins with a visit to Yad Vashem, a memorial that honors both the Holocaust martyrs and the righteous amongst the nations who have been recognized for their compassion and courage when risking their lives to save the lives of the Jews. At the Israel Museum, tour the Shrine of the Book, housing the Dead Sea Scrolls along with other collections and exhibits. Afternoon travel to Bethlehem, birthplace of Jesus, and visit the Church of Nativity. Day 9 opens with a drive along the shores of the Dead Sea to the Masada for a cable car ride to the top. Here is one of Israel's most important sites, the scene of the epic stand by Jewish rebels at the end of the Great Revolt against Rome 2,000 years ago. The day ends with a relaxing therapeutic float in the mineral-rich Dead Sea, an experience Queen Cleopatra and Sheba both were said to have known in these waters, 10 times saltier than the ocean. The next day is at leisure before departing to Petra to see the night show. Waking up in Petra on the 11th day, the biggest attraction in Jordan. Today's tour begins with a trip to the canyon, the Sikh, and then to view monumental sites including the treasury, the streets of facades, the royal tombs, and Pharaoh's castle. Later, drive to Wadi Rum, also known as Valley of the Moon, to explore the desert's many wonders on a sunset excursion and a 4x4 Jeep safari. Hikers and climbers will enjoy the tranquility of open spaces and can explore the canyons and grottos to discover 4,000-year-old rock drawings and other treasures. Visitors will meet Bedouins of the desert who have preserved their traditional way of life. An optional camel ride, hot air balloon, or stargazing is available for additional cost. On day 13, the journey goes back in time to ancient Egypt with a full day of touring to sites and monuments dating back thousands of years, including the Pyramids of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the Cheops Pyramid, the most colossal pyramid ever built. Following is a choice of 2 options: a visit to Grand Egyptian Museum to see ancient treasures, or a visit to Memphis, founded in 3100 BC as a legendary city of Menes, home to a well-preserved statue of Ramses II. The next day, after a short flight from Cairo to Aswan, we visit the High Dam and the Philae Temple, then transfer to our boat to cruise the Nile. Afternoon ride on a traditional felucca to view monuments such as the Aga Khan Mausoleum, followed by strolling through the city markets. Day 15 flight to Abu Simbel to see the temples of Ramses II and Queen Nefertiti, the most famous site in all of Egypt after the Giza pyramids. Flight back to Aswan and transfer to the ship. Afternoon cruise to Komombo for a visit to the temple there. Day 16 begins with a horse and carriage ride to the streets of Edfu to visit one of the best preserved shrines in Egypt. Built from 237 to 57 BC into the reign of Cleopatra VII. Later in the afternoon, a visit to Luxor Temple, illuminated at night, constructed over hundreds of years by the Amenhotep III, Ramses II, Tutankhamun, and other pharaohs. The following day, visit the Valley of the Kings, also known as the Great Necropolis. The most famous tombs here are those of Tutankhamun, Seti I, and Ramses II. Next, a visit to the nearby Temple of Hatshepsut, considered a masterpiece of the ancient world carved directly into the towering cliffs surrounding the site. Then Colossi of Memnon, 2 massive stone statues of the pharaoh Amenhotep III. And the day ends with a visit to the Temple of Karnak in Luxor, developed more than 1,000 years ago. Continue to the airport for your flight back to Cairo. The last day is saved for a guided tour of the Egyptian Museum housing 120,000 precious artifacts, including the contents of King Tut's tomb and most of the mummies that have been discovered since the 19th century. Then stop at Khan el-Khalili Market, the famous souk in town, and Salah el-Din Palace. Next morning, international departure flight to carry the memories of a glorious, once-in-a-lifetime experience. This is Michael Gelber, CEO iWorld of Travel, inviting you to experience another mesmerizing destination. iWorld of Travel. Expect more, do more, feel more.